I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Jazear Brooks, the CEO of Sifchain. Jazear, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm excited for this discussion to deep dive into DeFi, into what Sifchain is working on. And let's just kick it right off with what exactly is the focus of the Sifchain platform? What are the problems that your team is solving for?
Yeah, so it's designed to be an Omni-chain DEX. What I mean by that is it basically connects to every blockchain. I think our team has signed up for 20 to 25 different cross-chain pegs. We're just going to build those out in parallel. And if we can do that, then we can get decentralized flow of cryptocurrencies across chains to the point where people can think more about the DAO that they're working in and less about the chain that they're working on. So I'd say that's the important thing. We also want to have margin trading and limit orders, which we see as a good complement to AMMs, which we'll also have. And those three will provide the components of our crypto economic program.
Great. So building in a decentralized exchange with cross-blockchain compatibility, obviously there's a few hurdles to jump with that, right? And right now, the DeFi space seems to be predominantly with Ethereum, and there is some platforms that are trying to do some cross-chain, but this sounds like a huge undertaking. So props to you for that. How is the project going so far? And what hurdles have you had to face as you've gotten to this point?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. We've got a testnet up live, Monkey Bars. So you can take a look at that. We packed out at 100 validators, which is the max we can host on Cosmos right now. So pretty solid. People are testing the Ethereum to Sifchain compatibility, so you can actually do cross-chain transactions right now. A lot of what we're doing right now is basically around the infrastructure build out and testing. So some DevOps work and writing a substantial number of tests. So that's really where we are in terms of completion. But a lot of the core work has been done thanks to Cosmos and then thanks to Peggy, which is some cross-chain software that we built earlier for Ethereum. I'd say as far as goals, we really just want to wrap this thing up, get mainnet out live. And yeah, I'd say if we can do that, we're off to the races and people have a usable product.
Definitely. And now with decentralized exchanges, there is this solution that you're bringing in where you no longer are just stuck with ERC20 tokens moving back and forth, and you can move to all the other coins and just really open the floodgates. And there are other projects that are looking to do this because obviously this is a huge problem in the industry, being stuck on just Ethereum. So as you continue to grow, release the platform, and you're looking for mainstream adoption, what are the unique selling points and value propositions that Sifchain is going to bring in from other cross-platform decentralized exchanges?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say no one's really trying Omni-chain. That's a huge one for us. We know most of the other cross-chain projects. Thorchain, obviously, many members of our team were heavily involved with. There's Rosetta from Coinbase. There's Chainbridge. There's Poly Network. We're pretty familiar with a lot of them, but none of them are targeting the number of chains that we're targeting. That's a huge bit. I'd say there's another bit in that we're basically among the first to get connectivity to the Cosmos network itself proper. So you'll be able to take the tokens that you bring onto Sifchain and use them with other Cosmos chains like Kava or Terra or Akash or the Cosmos Hub. And so I'd say that's another really huge drawing point. I'm unaware of any really solid decentralized exchanges that do margin trading and also limit orders. There's some that do one or the other, but I think that bit is still in its infancy. So yeah, I would say those are the things that to me stand out as key differentiators for Sifchain.
That's great. And also, you're moving into the DeFi space with decentralized exchanges. There's a lot of other functionality for decentralized finance, whether it's swaps, providing liquidity, decentralized trading, cross-platform. Can you talk a little bit about how that works? And is that one of the sub-primary functions of the exchange? Or is it really your main focus is swapping coins cross-platform?
Yeah, so I think the way to imagine this is that there are two key components of Sifchain. One is SifNode itself, which runs the nodes that people use. And that's an application-specific blockchain, which is designed for the specific application of swapping tokens. So you've got your liquidity pool, people pool in that, everyone's used to that, and then they actually swap tokens against that liquidity. There's a separate component, which is Peggy, which is around moving tokens to and from other blockchains. And so for Ethereum, there's basically an extension of Tendermint consensus on Ethereum. So we have a Peggy smart contract, and that smart contract allows you to send token, like it can receive tokens from the Ethereum network. And when it hosts those tokens, it has the capacity to then mint a pegged version of that token on Sifchain. And so that's an entirely separate piece. Right now, they happen to be running in the same code, but I'd say as soon as we get the chance, we're going to split that out into its own blockchain with its own separate validator set, and that'll be used in conjunction with IBC, with the inter-blockchain protocol. So that's not quite done yet. That IBC protocol is not done. We're waiting on the Cosmos guys to finish it out. Once that happens, we'll set that up. And so, yeah, I'd say Sifchain proper is really designed for swapping pegged tokens. But you can take those pegged tokens, you can move them back and forth with their original chain. You can also send them to other chains in the Cosmos ecosystem as well.
Very cool. And now, I saw recently that the Sifchain team closed a $3.5 million SAFT sale. So first of all, congratulations to that. That's a big step forward. And I know that you have some major investment partners that you're working with. Can you talk a little bit about the partners that have believed in the project from the beginning, are invested, and what are the next steps now with that SAFT sale complete?
Yeah, I'd say I'm really proud of the investment group that we put together. There are the full list is on our website. You can just check out at sifchain.finance. But yeah, a lot of heavy hitters, a lot of groups like Alameda that really understand market making. They were surprisingly interested in doing this on a decentralized platform. Even with Serum, there's just so much opportunity to do DeFi with a bunch of different styles and structures. I know I mentioned that our core protocols, our core features are margin trading and limit orders and regular swaps. But we are interested in doing other things like connectivity with other chains. Solana for Serum compatibility would be a great one. But there are a bunch of other things that we've sort of discussed. I'd say, yeah, Mechanism's another VC I'd really love to call out for being really thoughtful, for working with us from the ground up. Andrew Kang's extremely notable on crypto Twitter, and he's not just sort of the degen kind of trader people that he appeals to, but actually a lot of really thoughtful analysts as well. And so I'd really say he's been a solid thought leader, not just him, but the entire Mechanism team. NGC, another really well-known firm. They've been extremely great with us for design, for protocol, for feedback. I can call them, whenever. They've been really helpful for our promotion in Asia. I'm super appreciative of that. So yeah, I'd say we have a lot of pretty good partnerships. We've also started some sort of behind the scenes things with our investors around connectivity to, say, centralized exchanges or to other decentralized exchanges. I mentioned briefly some ideas, but that's kind of scratching the surface. I do think that we're very interested in decentralized governance and a decentralized control, but we're also really interested in leveraging some of our larger partners and their capacity to bring solid liquidity or volume. So definitely stay tuned for announcements on that.
Definitely. And I'm glad that you mentioned the decentralized governance there. And that sort of leads me to, talk about how these decentralized projects really can be community run, with the governance and with the growth of it. But as well, you sort of need to have the economics in there so that people are excited to use it and want to use it. And sometimes at the beginning, in the early stages, you need to either incentivize or encourage people to become adopters, liquidity providers, and validators. Now, do you guys have a strategy for having that incentivization, or do you expect with all of these competitive advantages that there will be organic growth in those areas as well?
Yeah, I think the organic growth will come for sure. We're definitely getting a lot of traction. We also want to have a pretty robust liquidity mining program. I'll spill some of the beans now because I don't think we've talked about this publicly, but this will be an exclusive for this program. It's designed with some of the feedback that a few notable people, Andrew Kang being one of them, have discussed on Twitter. I'd say the multi-coin guys have also heavily influenced us. The general gist here is that we want to reward validators, swappers, and also liquidity providers. And we want to do it in proportion to the amount of volume that they give to us, either in held assets for stakers and providers for traded or swapped assets for the swappers. We also want to do it in proportion to the amount of time that they're doing it with us. So, if you're holding for a longer amount of time, you're going to get more liquidity mining rewards. And so we haven't announced many details for that publicly, but we've got some pretty solid crypto economics, I think, behind it. We don't want to just kind of offer out tokens without making sure that people deliver value in exchange for it. I showed this to an investor just to get some feedback, and like they were thinking, hey, we'd love to invest just based on the liquidity mining program alone. So we're hoping that when we do launch it, it is still at the cutting edge. But yeah, I'd say we have not been as thrilled by some of the liquidity mining programs we've seen from groups like Uniswap, where it's just a flat fee. Andrew Kang discusses this in more detail on Twitter, and we've really taken a lot of the improvements that he mentioned to heart.
Well, that's really exciting, and great to break the news on the show as well. And now, talking about rewards, I want to specifically mention the Sifchain token and how that governance and incentivization and everything works within the protocol. So if you could really just touch on, with people that are helping to provide value to this system, they're also going to be interacting with the Sifchain token. What are the main functions there, and how does it create a sustainable ecosystem for Sifchain's platform overall?
Yeah, it's good, I think, to talk about Rowan, the Sifchain token. So it serves a couple of purposes. First and foremost, it secures the network. So validators need to stake it, and without it, it just can't run no matter what. So it is the currency that our validators are using for block, and it's what they'll receive as a function of block rewards. And I'd say the validator community, as I mentioned, has been pretty strong and is showing substantial interest in the token. So that's a huge demand base right there. Then there is the liquidity providing. So if you are providing a token, then it doesn't matter which token you have. You're doing it in a pool that has 50% Rowan, 50% some other token. And it's probably worth doing a quick walkthrough for what that means crypto economically. Let's say you've got your Bitcoin and you want to swap it for USDT. Well, you're actually doing Bitcoin to Rowan and then Rowan to USDT. So the Rowan token would just be used no matter what. All of our pools are equally weighted with Rowan. And everyone who swaps is going to pay some fee as a result. So it makes sense to be a Rowan holder if you believe in Sifchain as a network overall. Another thing to keep in mind is that because these are equally weighted pools, we have more of a direct connection between the TVL, the total value locked for external tokens, and the price of Rowan. So let's say we've got $10 million of external assets from Bitcoin to USDT to ETH or whatever else. That means that there has to be at least $10 million worth of Rowan in those same pools because they're equally weighted, and an arbitrager would definitely even them out if that wasn't the case. And so that really gives our community a target to work for in terms of getting TVL locked so that they can see the appropriate rise in Rowan. And then we are unlike a standard Ethereum project, right? We are running on our own sovereign chain, which is validated, as I mentioned, and secured by Rowan. And so we know that we want our validators to stake at least as much as is on chain. So if you've got 10 million in external tokens, that means you've got 10 million in Rowan, 20 million combined being secured by the network, which means you need 20 million at least securing the network. So if you've got that 10 million in external assets, that means that you've got like a $30 million on Sifchain alone in Rowan, not counting things that are in cold storage or on other exchanges or so forth. And so this logic, I'd say, is something we're pretty proud of because it means that there's much more of a direct connection between usage and price for the token. We did a lot of analyses with this back when we copied it, frankly, from ThorChain, which has a similar model. And this does hold up under rational profit-seeking agents, at least according to a multi-agent simulation that the Gauntlet network team did. So we're pretty happy about that. That's the second big use as a settlement token. Then there's also the validator. The third thing that it makes sense to keep in mind is that it's a governance token. So you use Rowan to vote on changes to the protocol. And we hope to have a really robust DAO. We've done some communication in the past about what that means, put out a pretty long speech about how that relates to open source development, to computer-aided governance, to what we call teal organizations, self-managed, self-organized organizations. And I I think we take that to heart. We definitely want to have a robust DAO. So if you are interested in decentralized governance, that's another reason you'd be interested in the Rowan token.
Thanks for that. And now I want to talk about the next steps. You have the testnet launch. You're moving towards the main release. Do you have a time frame on that? And what are the next steps for you and your team right now?
Yeah, so we will probably hit say January or so of next year. It's a tentative date. We're not quite sure, but I think that's when we'll be able to release the chain for mainnet and live token value transfer. At this point, it's pretty much entirely around like testing. We brought in like a separate external testing team. We have an audit team. We're talking to potentially another auditor to work alongside. So we have dual coordination. We're setting a bug bounty program. So that's pretty much it. We've already started taking some of our issues and throwing them up on Gitcoin. So if you are an enterprising engineer and you just want to, tinker around with the code but make money for it, we encourage you to go to Gitcoin. Any of the issues that we have that are bugs, we're happy to compensate for, assuming we've got a Gitcoin grant out for them. So yeah, it's pretty much entirely about putting the pieces together. A lot of the core work we'd already done on Peggy and building out Sifchain using Thorchain as a reference implementation was not too bad. It's basically just testing under multiple regimes, stress testing, documenting tests, documenting the product in general. That's the deal. So we'd love any collaboration from any open source developers who are interested.
Definitely. And now you mentioned the Gitcoin. For other community members that are just looking to follow along leading up to the launch or to get involved in the social communities, where are your main communities and how can they get involved?
Yeah, Telegram's obviously a big one. We also have a newsletter. You can check that out on our website. And then I'd say Discord has a lot of the meat and potatoes for engineers.
Great, Jazear. I will leave those links in the description box below. Thank you so much for the time. It's been a pleasure speaking about Sifchain. All the best with the launch and everything else moving forward. And let's follow up in the near future.
Yeah, Ashton, thank you for having us.